佢教一識我諗下佢點解咩理由要咁樣做。佢教我唔教套拳咧，教完套小念頭我打小念頭又捉乜咁樣。我喺度一路諗，一路諗，咁亦都模仿佢自己喺度嚟諗。咁佢教完嗰3套拳咧，我其實識晒㗎啦。招式我識晒㗎啦，但係我諗啲招式要嚟點用。我唔係要佢點樣去打人，我要佢嚟做乜嘢佢哋啲招式，一路係咁樣咁諗下，哇係幾得意喎，咁就學啦。
用下就好好玩嘅。
師哥諗咗60年有冇？
佢有咪叫唔好用力，又點解又叫唔好用力咧？
師傅唔係諗咗60年，師傅係之前都揾到出嚟，跟住一路有。咁你練咗幾耐先？我
練好耐啊！我一學就一日練幾個鐘頭，係不停咁練嘅。我一定要揾佢啲嘢出嚟啊嘛！咁我揾到都唔知。我淨係知道我唔使出力，我又唔怕人大力嘅。
一出少少力就得，已經。
So this part of Master Chu's practice was very interesting to me. Even from the beginning, he was watching Leung Sheng and Lok Yu being taught by Yip Man. He was witnessing it. Every time Yip Man was teaching, he was there because he was a secretary at the Restaurant Workers Union where Yip Man was teaching. And you know, he was watching for a couple of months before Leung Sheng said, "Look, you're watching anyway. Why don't you join in?" And it was interesting that he was fascinated by, you know, the fact that Yip Man would always say, "No need to use brute force." You know, in Wing Chun we don't use brute force, and the fact that the name of the first form was called Siu Nim Tau, little idea, and he would ask Yip Man, "Why is it that it's called?" It's kung fu, just like he said in this video. Like, it's kung fu. What do you mean we don't use brute force? Kung fu is about using force or developing force, right? This was his thinking. And Yip Man would say the form is to cultivate an idea. So he approached it even from day one when he was practicing. Like he said, he was practicing every day. So when he started practicing, he also started to live with Yip Man because Chu Shong Tin and Yip Man both came. Yip Man from Fasan, Chu Shong Tin from Guangzhou. So they both didn't have any family here. This is before Yip Man's sons came over. So, and at the time he was living on Hong Kong side, which is a little island, Hong Kong island, rather than Kowloon, which is where Yip Man was teaching. And again, Leung Sheng said, "Hey, why don't you just live together? You both don't have your family here. You keep each other in company. You can take care of seafood." And they lived in a small place. So he was talking a lot to Yip Man about his understanding, his ideas behind the forms. And he would say, Yip Man would always just say, "Look, keep practicing and try to figure out how not to use brute force during the forms." And that's why his ideas in the forms wasn't to, produce techniques. So we do this in Tan Xiao, it's for being underneath someone's arm so you can do this. Fok Xiao is like this, Bong Xiao is to deflect the person's punch so you can do this. Even in Chang Kyu, maybe some people think about the usage behind each movement. Okay, this movement is teaching us how to attack like this or defend like this. Now, of course, there is usage. For example, in Siu Nim Tau, we have this. Of course, this is a punch. But in his mind, he wasn't thinking about, okay, I'm going to be punching someone. He was thinking about, how do I move from here to here effortlessly and using, what Yip Man would say, this term lok nim, which is to cultivate an idea. What idea am I cultivating behind this movement, which we can, use it to punch people or punch something? So, it's very interesting to me because from the beginning, he was in a completely different mindset. He wasn't in the mindset of techniques. And he when he was teaching myself, when he was teaching us, he was saying during the last 10 years of his life, I was with him every day that he was teaching. I was there with him, and he would always say, Siu Nim Tau Cham Kyu Bil Ji, they're not to cultivate techniques. Don't think about hitting. Even when I was punching a punching bag, he was saying, you know, he would say, oh, people, look, Nima's, or when I was kicking or punching, Nima's thinking about hitting the bag. That's why he can't produce that kind of force yet, because he's thinking about hitting. And I was left standing there thinking, what else do I think about? I'm kicking the damn bag. I'm thinking about kicking because I'm kicking. But what he meant is, rather than thinking about, all right, I want to, you know, get ready to produce force for a punch or for a kick, thinking about what idea had I cultivated from, let's say, the internal interconnection from Siu Nim Tau, and then from Chum Kyu, how to move from my center of mass. How am I mobilizing my mass through where I'm contacting with the pad, rather than thinking, because when we have the idea of hitting something, when we have the idea of, okay, this is a technique, we start to use, you know, we start to use the muscular system in a different way than what he believed it was intended, what the forms were intended to teach us. So this is a very, very, very fundamental idea of Chu Shong Tin's method or idea of practicing Wing Chun in general. Then he said in the wooden dummy, okay, that's the first form in his opinion, or the way he practiced, is where you're thinking about, all right, like imagining the dummy is a live opponent, or, you know, so as you're hitting the dummy, imagine at any point those arms, there could be real punches coming in. So he puts himself in a state of, okay, there could be a potential punch here. How am I covering my center? How am I maneuvering around the footwork, etc., as he's producing mass behind each movement? So again, this is a very interesting, very, very, very interesting point, because when he first said it to me, I was like, yep, okay, oh, I got that. So then I'm like, okay, I'm standing there thinking, okay, same thing, how do I not use effort? How do I move? What does he mean? You know, move from the joints. He tried different things. Move from your joints. Think about something flowing through. Drop your back muscles. You know, open up the spine. Rise up the energy in the spine, etc. He was trying many different things. So I'm trying these things, but honestly, it took me a while to be able to get experiential understanding of what he actually meant. That when you're practicing the forms, don't think about you're doing a technique. You're thinking about, so for me now, the way I explain it is, we're figuring out how to cultivate this state and how to produce, so in Chum Kyu Bil Ji, how to produce these different vectors of force. So then they're all circular, straight, triangular, but every force has a round. There's no right angles in terms of the force created. That they all have a roundness behind it. And I can make another video to go deeper into this, but so we're thinking, how do I, the term that I use now, how do we shape the mass in this way? So literally have it so mass is flowing out here rather than staying here and, you know, using the shoulder muscles and using the back leg to push off to do this. You know, how do I actually, you know, we're an object on earth, so we all have mass. How do I utilize that mass and shape it here? You know, so be able to tap into the reality of forces that are created rather than just using the brute sort of muscular force to perform and copy a shape and perform the technique, and then being in the mindset of, okay, so as I'm doing this, once I do chi sao, once I contact someone, this is how I would use it to do the technique. So this was a very, very, very big shift in mindset for me. It took me a while, as I said, to understand what he meant. So it's a very important topic, I think, and I think it's the reason why Chu Shong Tin was able to do what he could do. And as I said here in the beginning, he didn't know that he had something special. All he knew, and he said, Leung Sheng and Lok Yu were asking him after a year. They were said, like, what are you doing? Are you doing weights? What other training are you doing apart from Wing Chun? Because, you know, they couldn't hit him. In the beginning, they were ragdolling him. They were throwing him around. They were hitting him, slapping him around. But within a few, so as he was developing this idea in Siu Nim Tau, he was thinking, okay, how could I merge that idea with not allowing them to hit me? You know, and in a few months, not only they couldn't hit him, they couldn't really affect him. That's why they were asking, hey, what are you doing? And then he realized, he said, I thought everybody's got this feeling in Siu Nim Tau. But then he realized that he's picked up something quite special, quite unique in Siu Nim Tau. And this is around the time that Yip Man coined him the king of Siu Nim Tau. And as he says, Siu Nim Tau is the basis of the entire Wing Chun system, because it's what provides that state, that Nim Tau state, that what we're talking about, the subject of this video, and then from there you take that state onto the other forms, Chamkyu, Bilji, and then apply it in T-Sao, sparring, the weapons, etc. So very interesting topic. I could go on about it all day, but yeah, any questions, any comments, anything like that, please do write a comment, leave it in the comments below. Any ideas that you may have that may have helped you, that might be able to help the readers of the comments, get involved.